Major Elena Reyes stared at the genetic sequencing results for the 10th time, her hands trembling slightly as they hovered over the holographic display. After 15 years of analyzing human genomes for the Global Defense Forces Enhancement Program, she had never seen anything like this. The anomaly in her own DNA was impossible. The tertiary helix structure shouldn't exist in human genetics, yet there it was, woven through her genome like an alien signature. More disturbing still, it was active, producing proteins that defied current scientific understanding. Major, the general is asking for an update on the enhancement candidates, Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the lab's comm system. Should I tell him you're still processing the results? Elena minimized her personal genetic scan and pulled up the soldier enhancement data. Tell him I'll have the report in an hour, James. She needed time to think, to understand what she had discovered. The enhancement program had been her life's work, finding ways to push human evolution forward to better defend Earth against potential cosmic threats. But now, looking at her own mutated DNA, she wondered if evolution had been pushed forward long ago by something far more advanced than humanity. A soft chime from her quantum computer drew her attention. The machine had finished its deep analysis of the anomalous genetic structure. Elena's breath caught as she read the results. The tertiary helix wasn't random mutation, it was engineered. The complexity and precision spoke of intelligence far beyond current human capabilities. Her hands moved swiftly over the holographic controls, comparing her sequence against the global genetic database. If this was engineered, surely there would be others. The computer pinged again. Elena's heart nearly stopped. Matches found, 127,394 individuals. Oh my God, she whispered. Over 100,000 people carrying the same engineered sequence, hidden in plain sight throughout the human population. How had no one noticed before? The lab door slid open with a soft hiss. Major Reyes? General Marcus strode in, his cybernetic eye glowing faintly in the dim light. I grew tired of waiting for that report. Elena quickly closed her personal genetic data, but not fast enough. The general's augmented vision had already scanned and processed the information on her screens. What exactly am I looking at, Major? His voice was dangerously quiet. Sir, Elena's mind raced. The general was a hardliner, convinced that humanity needed to remain pure in its evolution. The enhancement program existed only because he saw it as human-directed advancement. The idea of ancient alien manipulation of human genetics would be anathema to him. It appears someone has been conducting unauthorized genetic experiments, she said carefully. I've discovered an engineered sequence present in a significant portion of the population. The general's organic eye narrowed. Who? The Chinese? The Russians? No, sir. The engineering is far too advanced. The complexity suggests it was done thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years ago. Impossible. The word fell like a hammer. You're suggesting what? Ancient aliens tampered with human DNA? The evidence is right here, sir. Elena pulled up the analysis. This isn't random mutation. This is programming, written into our genes, waiting for something to activate it. Waiting for what? As if in answer, Elena's body suddenly seized with pain. The world tilted sideways as she collapsed, her vision filling with impossible colors. Through the haze, she saw the general shouting into his comm, calling for medical support. But this wasn't a medical emergency. Deep in her cells, ancient genetic programming was awakening, transforming her into something that had been planned millennia ago. Her last conscious thought before the darkness took her was a question. What were we designed to become? Hours later, Elena awoke in the base medical bay, her body humming with strange new energies. The room was filled with security personnel, weapons trained on her bed. General Marcus stood behind a containment field, watching her with undisguised fear. Status report, Major, he barked. What happened to you? Elena sat up slowly, marveling at how different everything looked, felt, sounded. Her consciousness had expanded somehow, allowing her to perceive things that should have been impossible. She could sense the electromagnetic fields generated by the medical equipment, see the quantum fluctuations in the air itself. I believe, sir, she said carefully, that I've just discovered what the genetic programming was designed to do. We're not just human anymore. We never were. We're chrysalides, waiting to emerge into something far greater. The general's face hardened. You're being quarantined until we understand the extent of this infection. It's not an infection, sir. It's an awakening. And you can't stop it. Elena could feel it now, thousands of others around the world, their ancient programming activating in response to some unseen signal. We're becoming what we were always meant to be. An alarm began blaring throughout the base. Sir. A young lieutenant burst into the room. We're getting reports worldwide, people are transforming, exhibiting impossible abilities. It's happening everywhere. Elena smiled as she felt the connection growing stronger, linking her mind to countless others awakening to their true nature. Humanity's next evolutionary step hadn't come from their careful genetic engineering program. It had been planned eons ago by beings who had seeded Earth with potential, waiting for the right moment in human development. That moment had finally arrived. Dr. Kai Anderson clutched the classified files in his trembling hands as he raced through the underground research facility. What he had discovered in the ancient ruins beneath the Antarctic ice changed everything they thought they knew about human origins. The message encoded in the crystalline structures was clear: humanity had been engineered as part of a grand experiment, and that experiment was now entering its final phase. Behind him, he could hear the heavy footfalls of military security. They had orders to contain the information, to prevent panic as more people across the globe awakened to their hidden genetic legacy. But it was too late for containment. The signal that had triggered Elena Reyes's transformation was spreading, activating dormant genes in thousands every hour. Stop right there, Dr. Anderson. The command echoed through the corridor. Kai ran faster, his heart pounding. He had to reach the quantum transmission array. The world needed to know the truth. The ancient message had revealed that humanity wasn't just engineered, they were created as an evolutionary bridge between physical and energy-based life forms. The junk DNA that scientists had puzzled over for centuries contained compressed data, a blueprint for transcendence that would activate when humanity reached the necessary level of technological advancement. That moment had arrived, triggered by their first successful quantum communications experiments. The very technology they had created to connect with distant worlds had resonated with their engineered genes, beginning a transformation that couldn't be stopped. Kai burst into the transmission center, quickly sealing the doors behind him. His fingers flew over the controls, preparing to broadcast his findings worldwide. The security forces were cutting through the door, but they wouldn't be fast enough. His computer chimed, an incoming transmission. Kai's breath caught as he recognized the source. Elena Reyes, now held in a military containment facility, had somehow managed to reach him. Dr. Anderson, her voice came through clearly, though different than any human voice he'd heard before. It seemed to resonate on multiple frequencies simultaneously. You found it, haven't you? The message they left for us? Yes, Kai replied, still working to prepare the broadcast. We're not alone, Major Reyes. We never were. The beings who engineered us, they seeded countless worlds, creating species that could eventually bridge the gap between physical and energy-based life. We're part of something far larger than ourselves. They're coming, Elena said. I can feel them now, approaching our solar system. The changes we're experiencing, they're preparing us for first contact. But there are those who want to stop it, who fear what we're becoming. The door behind Kai began to glow red as cutting torches worked to breach it. He had minutes at most. The military, certain governments, they think they can contain this, study it, control it. But they don't understand. This transformation isn't just physical. It's awakening abilities we were meant to have all along. Telepathy, quantum consciousness, manipulation of energy and matter at a fundamental level. How many have transformed so far? Kai asked, finalizing the transmission protocols. Millions now, and accelerating. Those of us who have changed, we're connected somehow, sharing a consciousness that transcends physical space. But we need your help, Dr. Anderson. The world needs to understand what's happening. This isn't an invasion or a disease, it's an emergence. The door behind him began to crack. Kai took a deep breath and pressed the broadcast initiation sequence. I'm sending everything, the Antarctic findings, the genetic analysis, the ancient message. No more secrets. No more fear. Thank you, Elena's voice held both warmth and sadness. But be prepared, the next few days will determine humanity's future. There are forces gathering to stop this transformation, even if it means destroying those who have already changed. They don't realize that fighting this is fighting our own destiny. The door exploded inward as Kai completed the transmission. Armed soldiers poured into the room, weapons raised. But Kai smiled, knowing it was too late to stop the truth from spreading. Around the world, people would soon understand what was happening to them, why they were changing, and what it meant for humanity's future. As security forces led him away, Kai could feel something stirring in his own genes, the first hints of transformation beginning. Humanity had reached a crossroads, and there would be no turning back. The experiment their ancient creators had begun was entering its final phase, and the outcome would reshape not just their species, but their understanding of life itself. Through his growing connection to the transformed consciousness, Kai could sense the approaching presence Elena had mentioned, vast, ancient intelligences drawing near to witness humanity's emergence. The question was, would humanity embrace its destiny, or would fear and resistance tear their species apart at the very moment they were meant to transcend? The United Nations Security Council chamber crackled with tension as world leaders faced the unprecedented crisis. On screens worldwide, Dr. Kai Anderson's revelations about humanity's engineered origins played alongside footage of the transformed, people demonstrating abilities that defied known physics. Ambassador Lin Wei stood at the podium, her holographic form flickering as quantum interference from the growing number of transformed humans affected communications worldwide. The Chinese government reports over 10 million citizens have undergone the change. We can no longer contain information about the transformation, nor prevent its spread. This is a hostile takeover of our species, General Marcus interrupted, his cybernetic eye glowing intensely. These transforms aren't human anymore. They've become something else, something that threatens our very existence. Through the quantum consciousness network linking all transformed humans, Elena Reyes observed the proceedings while floating in her containment cell. The military still believed their energy barriers could hold her, not understanding that her consciousness now existed partially outside physical spacetime. They're wrong, she communicated to the millions of transformed minds connected to her. We're not losing our humanity, we're fulfilling it. The beings who engineered us knew that consciousness could exist in forms beyond the physical. They created us to bridge that gap. The quantum network hummed with agreement. Among the transformed were scientists, leaders, artists, and ordinary people from every nation and background. Their shared consciousness had eliminated the barriers of language and culture, allowing them to understand each other on the deepest level. In the Security Council chamber, the debate grew heated. The Brazilian government proposes immediate registration and containment of all transformed individuals, one representative argued. Until we understand the full implications. A new presence entered the quantum network, radiating peace and understanding. Kai Anderson had finally transformed, his consciousness joining the collective while his physical body remained in military custody. They fear what they don't understand, his thoughts resonated through the network. But the ancient message was clear: this transformation is just the beginning. Elena reached out with her expanded consciousness, touching minds across the globe. Fear and wonder warred in the untransformed population. Some welcomed the change, sensing humanity's destiny in the transformation. Others recoiled, seeing it as the end of human independence. Suddenly, every screen in the Security Council chamber went dark. When they reactivated, they showed a vast object decelerating into Earth orbit, a ship of impossible size and design, its surface rippling with energy patterns that matched those now emanating from transformed humans. "Our creators have arrived," Elena broadcast through the quantum network. "Not to conquer or control, but to welcome us into a larger community of consciousness." The ship's arrival sparked panic in some quarters. Military forces worldwide went on high alert. Missiles were armed, defense systems activated. But the transformed humans could sense the truth: the vessel wasn't a threat, but a key to understanding their new existence. Through their shared consciousness, the transformed began to access the compressed data hidden in their activated genes. They saw visions of countless civilizations across the galaxy, each engineered like humanity, each eventually achieving the transformation. Some species had taken centuries to fully emerge. Others, like humanity, had reached the threshold quickly, driven by rapid technological advancement. In the Security Council chamber, chaos erupted as reports flooded in. The ship was broadcasting on all frequencies, its message translated simultaneously into every human language: "Children of Earth, you have begun your emergence. We return as promised, to guide you through the transformation. Your species is part of a grand design, a bridge between matter and energy, between individual consciousness and universal understanding." General Marcus slammed his fist on the council table. "This is an invasion. We must strike now, before." His words cut off as a soft light filled the chamber. A figure materialized, humanoid but clearly not human, its form shifting between physical and energy states. When it spoke, its voice resonated on multiple levels of reality. "We are the architects," it said simply. "We seeded your world, and countless others, with the potential for transcendence. That potential now awakens. You need not fear. All that you are, your individuality, your unique perspectives, your essential humanity, will remain. But you will become more. You will understand what it means to exist beyond the limitations of physical form." Through the quantum network, Elena shared the wonder of this moment with millions of transformed minds. They could sense the truth in the architect's words, could feel the vast network of consciousness that extended throughout the galaxy. Humanity wasn't losing itself, it was joining something greater while maintaining all that made it unique. In military bases worldwide, weapons powered down as transformed personnel helped their unchanged colleagues understand what was happening. In cities and villages, the transformed demonstrated their new abilities not to threaten, but to show the potential that lay within all human DNA. The time of division was ending. The experiment begun so long ago was reaching its conclusion. Humanity stood on the brink of becoming something new, not through conquest or force, but through the awakening of potential that had been within them all along. The first attack came at dawn. Anti-transformation extremists, led by hardline military leaders, launched coordinated strikes against transformed population centers worldwide. They believed destroying the changed would halt humanity's evolution, not understanding that the process had become irreversible. Elena Reyes felt the deaths of thousands through the quantum network, brief flares of consciousness transitioning purely to energy form. But even these losses served to demonstrate the truth: the transformed couldn't truly die. Their consciousness persisted in the quantum field, proving the architect's promise of transcendence. "They're making a terrible mistake." Kai Anderson's consciousness resonated through the network from his cell in a military black site. "The transformation can't be stopped by destroying physical forms. It's written into our very DNA. The Architect vessel in orbit remained neutral despite the attacks, observing humanity's struggle to accept its evolution. Their message was clear: each species must choose its path to transcendence. Some emerged through harmony, others through conflict, but all eventually reached their destiny. In Washington, D.C., General Marcus led the resistance, convinced that the transformation represented humanity's extinction rather than its evolution. "Better to die as humans than live as something else," he declared, ordering tactical strikes against transformed gatherings. But with each attack, the transformed demonstrated powers that made conventional weapons increasingly irrelevant. They could phase through matter, redirect energy, and repair physical damage almost instantly. More importantly, their shared consciousness allowed perfect coordination and strategy. Elena reached out to the attacking forces through the quantum field. "Look into yourselves. The same potential exists in your genes. This isn't an end, it's a beginning. We're becoming what we were always meant to be." Some soldiers lowered their weapons, feeling the first stirrings of transformation in their own DNA. Others fought harder, desperate to maintain what they saw as human purity. The planet teetered on the edge of catastrophic conflict. Deep in the Antarctic facility where the ancient message was found, Dr. Maya Chen made a breakthrough. The crystalline structures contained not just information, but a quantum key, a way to accelerate the transformation in those who were ready to accept it. "The architects didn't just engineer our DNA, she broadcast through the network. They gave us tools to control our emergence. We don't have to wait for the change to spread naturally." The transformed debated this discovery through their shared consciousness. Forcing the transformation felt wrong, but allowing the conflict to escalate could tear the planet apart. They needed a way to show the unchanged the truth about their future. The answer came from an unexpected source. General Marcus's cybernetic implants, designed to interface directly with his brain, made him unexpectedly susceptible to quantum communication. Elena reached out to his mind, sharing not just thoughts but the full experience of transformation. In an instant, he understood. The cybernetic eye that he thought made him superior was nothing compared to the awareness the transformed had achieved. His resistance crumbled as he felt the vast network of consciousness that awaited humanity. The General's transformation, broadcast live across global networks, became a turning point. Military forces stood down. The violence ceased. Humanity began to accept that fighting the transformation meant fighting their own evolution. The Architect vessel descended into Earth's atmosphere, its surface shifting with patterns of pure energy. The time had come for humanity to understand its true heritage and future. Those who feared losing their humanity would soon understand that they were about to become more human than ever before. Through the quantum network, the transformed could sense it: the final phase of emergence was beginning. The question was no longer whether humanity would transcend, but what they would become when they did. The architects had designed them as a bridge between physical and energy existence, but the specific form that bridge would take was up to them. As the sun set on this pivotal day, Elena shared a moment of perfect understanding with millions of transformed minds. They were not the end of humanity, but its next step, an evolution planned eons ago by beings who had seen humanity's potential and given them the tools to achieve it. The future awaited, and it would be more extraordinary than anyone had imagined. The transformation of Earth began not with a bang, but with a whisper of quantum energy that rippled through every living cell. The Architect vessel had positioned itself above the Antarctic facility, its crystalline structure resonating with the ancient message buried in the ice. Humanity's final emergence had begun. Elena Reyes and Kai Anderson, now existing as hybrid forms of matter and energy, led the transformed in preparing Earth's population for the change. Through the quantum network, they shared the complete truth of human origins and destiny. The architects hadn't just engineered humanity's DNA, they had created a species capable of transcending the boundary between physical existence and pure energy consciousness. The transformation preserves everything that makes us human, Elena broadcast globally. Our memories, our personalities, our capacity for love and creativity. But it gives us something more, the ability to exist beyond physical limitations, to touch the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The architect vessel pulsed with energy as it activated the quantum keys hidden in human DNA. Across the planet, the last pockets of resistance felt their genes awakening, understanding at last that this was not an end, but a beginning. Dr. Maya Chen, monitoring the change from the Antarctic facility, watched in awe as humanity began its final metamorphosis. The physical transformations we've seen so far were just preparation, she shared through the network. This is what we were designed for, to become beings of pure consciousness who can choose to manifest physically at will. The quantum network expanded exponentially as billions of minds joined the collective consciousness. Yet each remained distinct, individual, uniquely human. The architects had designed the transformation to enhance rather than erase individuality, creating a symphony of consciousness where each voice remained clear and vital. General Marcus, once the strongest opponent of the change, now helped guide others through their fear. "We're not losing our humanity," he broadcast from the Pentagon. "We're becoming what humanity was always meant to be." Through the quantum field, humanity began to access the vast repository of knowledge the architects had encoded in their DNA. They saw the grand design, thousands of species across the galaxy, each engineered differently but all designed to eventually transcend physical form. Some remained primarily physical, others chose to exist mostly as energy. Humanity's unique gift was the ability to bridge both states perfectly. The architect vessel's energy reached a crescendo, and for a moment, every human on Earth shared a single thought, a vision of their species' potential. They saw themselves spreading through the cosmos not in ships of metal and plastic, but as beings of consciousness and energy who could coalesce into physical form when needed. Elena felt the final change beginning in her own hybrid form. "This is our legacy," she shared through the network. "Not to conquer the stars, but to become one with them while remaining uniquely ourselves." The transformed helped the newly awakening through their metamorphosis. Fear dissolved in the face of understanding. The last barriers between nations and peoples faded as humanity achieved a state of existence its creators had spent eons preparing them for. In orbit, other vessels began arriving, representatives of species the architects had seeded throughout the galaxy. They came to welcome humanity into a community of transcended beings, each unique in their expression of consciousness, all part of the grand experiment in evolution. The sun set on the last day of humanity's physical-only existence, and rose on a new era. Earth remained populated, but its inhabitants now existed in a state that bridged matter and energy, physical and spiritual, individual and collective. The transformed could travel instantly across space, share thoughts and experiences directly, and explore the universe in ways their ancestors could never have imagined. Yet they remained human, loving, creating, exploring, dreaming. The architects had not destroyed humanity but fulfilled its potential, creating beings who could touch the infinite while keeping their finite human hearts. Through the quantum network, Elena shared a final thought with the transformed billions: "We haven't reached the end of our journey. We've only now become capable of taking our first true steps into the cosmos. The real adventure is just beginning." Above the Earth, the architect vessel began to dissolve, its purpose fulfilled. But in its dissolution, it left humanity with one last gift, the knowledge that they too would one day seed new worlds with potential, continuing the grand experiment in consciousness that had given them birth. The transformation was complete. Humanity had transcended its physical limitations while keeping its soul intact. The stars beckoned, and humanity, now existing as beings of matter and energy, consciousness and form, prepared to answer their call. The experiment was over. The real journey was about to begin.